great club, the Downtown Athletic Club, that I represent, to present the 51st Heisman Memorial Trophy to Bo Jackson of Auburn.
Look at the swing right here. Bo Jackson knows it.
Oh my, this is impressive.
The 8th of 10 kids, 5 girls and 5 boys. My mom raised 9 of us in a 3-room house. And that house, it consists of a kitchen where my mom had her bedroom, a living room which had a gas heater, and a bedroom which had a pot-bellied coal stove and twin beds. And we as children slept wherever we could find a vacant spot in the house. And the majority of the time, I would get right down in front of the little gas heater in the living room and sleep. And some nights I didn't have cover to put over me, but I knew that my mom would take care of me. And I don't care about all the criticism that people throw at me, because I know that I've had harder times. And nothing can take the place or make me feel better than what I experienced when I was growing up.
Bo on the charge. Bo is there. Yo, mama, love that ball. Bo.
That's into right field. That's a can of corn. Bo Jackson is there. As here's a throw. Gallego tagging it. Bo gets it.
Bo with a 2-run homer his first time up here tonight. And hits this ball deep to right center field. Way back. Forget it. Jackson with his second home run in 2 tries tonight. That's 18 on the year. He's driven in 4 runs in the ball game, and the Royals lead 5-1.
I like to end my speech by giving thanks to the Lord, because just like I've said, and I'll continue to say, none of this would be possible if it wasn't for him. And I was in a teammate's room of mine Thursday before the Alabama game, and we were sitting there talking, and I couldn't sleep, and it was about, I'll say 1:30 or 2. We were sitting there in the room, and I noticed on his counter there was this little plaque, and on that plaque it said, "I asked the Lord, how much do he love me?" And it said, he spread his arm this wide and he died. And I believe that from the bottom of my heart, and I hope that you all feel the same way. Thank you, and I love you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see from the board, MSH, Maple Syrup History, number 269, Beauty, number 5. Episode 5 of our beauty class, we've covered in order from number 1, Hildegard of Bingen, St. Sebastian, Antonio Gaudi. And our last class was on Mozart. And today we're talking about truly a Mozart of sports, Bo Jackson. Bo is his nickname. His real name is Vincent Edward Jackson, Bo Jackson. Now, I'm going to start with, first of all, direct you to, I'm going to put this in the show notes later. I was talking to Mr. Brad King about this about 3 minutes ago before we started the stream. I made a 5-minute highlight video of Bo Jackson's most extraordinary sport accomplishments. Well, I mean, very heavily prejudiced towards baseball. It's one football clip interspersed amongst a bunch of baseball clips. But it has a lot of the kind of most famous things, like when Bo Jackson throws out Harold Reynolds from the left field wall at the Kingdome, the old Seattle Mariners stadium, throws like a 350-foot laser to get this guy at the plate. The one where he climbs the wall like Spider-Man, his 3 home run game for the Kansas City Royals. You can go down to the show notes or perhaps a comment that I'll post and look at Bo Jackson, Bo Jackson, the greatest athlete since 490 BC. So I made this kind of video. It's posted to the channel, the larger channel. Remember, the maple syrup stuff is just under this specific playlist. But if you're like, now that you're watching the stream, you saw I have some highlights and some video. We actually started this video with Bo Jackson's Heisman speech. The Heisman Trophy, of course, all sports aficionados will know, is awarded to the most outstanding college football player. So we started with some videos, but if you want a more complete look at who this man was and you want to stay on this channel, you can check out Bo Jackson, the greatest athlete since 490 BC. If you're like, I'm going to go outside the channel, there's a million Bo Jackson highlights everywhere. You can go check it out. And I especially recommend you look at the Bo Knows ad campaign in the 90s. Very, very famous. We're going to talk about all this today. Now, my friends, fans of maple syrup, fans of the beauty course, you know that I like to begin with the board takeaways, kind of these points, these main points on the board that we want to double back upon, look at, etc. Here are the 8 points that I'll begin the beauty class with today's lecture about Bo Jackson, and then in conclusion, in recapitulation, we'll come back and look at them. Number 1, we need Paul Bunyan stories come to life. Paul Bunyan myths that are true. This points to God as the ultimate source of kind of grandeur and awe and all this kind of stuff. We need kind of superhero figures who are not some cringy, cheesy kind of comic book stuff, but real kind of like superheroes in the flesh. Number 2, wonder is the first cognitive impulse. Number 3, on your tombstone, your gravestone, just having your name, what does that kind of speak about humility? What I'm talking about here, Bo Jackson says famously that, like, what do you want on your gravestone in one of these interviews in the 80s? And by the way, he's born November 30th, 1962. So he is actually 62 years old now on January 24th, 2024. He's born in 62, so his heyday, of course, is the 1980s, early 90s. In one of these interviews in the late 80s / early 90s, a reporter asks him, what do you want on your tombstone? Probably expecting, like, it's just a stupid question, right? Like some kind of, greatest athlete, whatever. He just says, I want like Vincent Jackson. I just want, my name. That's very beautiful. Kind of, you enter the world with nothing, you leave with nothing. He has this kind of really, beautiful humility in many ways, I think. So number 1, we need Paul Bunyan stories come to life. Number 2, wonder is the first cognitive impulse. 3, just having your name on a tombstone. What does that say about your character in general? Number 4, the love of neighbor that is demonstrated in these kind of Paul Bunyan stories might just inspire you to get off your couch. Maybe I need to see Bo Jackson climb a wall like Spider-Man and realize, I should go for a walk. I should go do something. We need people to kind of set the pace in life, certainly. Point number 5, if you are, again, a devoted, dedicated fan of maple syrup history, and you are a very dedicated fan of this subset of maple syrup history, the beauty class. If you remember episode 2 and Saint Sebastian, I talked about him as patron saint of athletes, correlating to the argument I make in my book, The Hippo Lectures, chapter 2 about sports ultimately as a high form of art, no different than kind of, ballet, sculpture, truly, using the human body to, by the grace of God, do beautiful artistic stuff, how that points to a kind of higher ultimate good. That once more is kind of point number 1. Number 6 is point number 4. A lot of kind of multiple points here, but the alien-like abilities of some of these superheroes come to life once more can inspire the kind of perhaps average person to shut up and finally get on with doing something. How many people have the dumbest excuses? Oh, I can't, blah, 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 blah. I'm too busy. Just shut up. Here's this Bo Jackson highlight. Check this out. He just hit a baseball 500 feet. The exit velocity was 120 miles an hour. You can go walk on the treadmill, right? You can go do something. So 6 and 7 actually flow one into another. I list number 7 is shut up and get to being the best you can be. And finally, number 8, Bo Jackson, people like him are a great antidote to a world of haters and naysayers. I certainly think so. So many trash talkers, everything sucks, I suck, you suck kind of attitude, just complete garbage, which is not a Catholic attitude, not a Christian attitude, it's nothing, it's just garbage. It's just nihilistic nonsense. You know, it's black-pilled, everything is so bad and everything's awful. And all I'm gonna do is watch, you know, I'm gonna watch NASCAR to watch people get into wrecks. And I'm gonna be a sports fan so I can be like, this team is garbage, and I can root against people. There's so much negativity. Bo Jackson is a guy who's so beautiful, hence his fit in this course, so beautiful in his performance of specifically baseball and football, but athletics writ large, that it points to the ultimate beauty of God and gives us an antidote. Point number 8, in a world of, you know, everything is so negative, awful, terrible, everyone's a failure. No, there are these beautiful, going back to number 1 one more time, Paul Bunyan type myths, but that are real. And wow, praise God. So there's our 8 points. We'll kind of come back to that at the end. So let me read you his biography now, or basic points about his biography really quickly. Once more, Vincent Edward Jackson is born November 30th, 1962. He's from Bessemer, Alabama. He is from Bessemer, Alabama. He's named Vincent Edwards because the actor Vince Edwards, plural, he's named Vincent Edward. The actor Vincent Edwards with an S is his mother's favorite actor. That's why she named him Vincent Edward Jackson. Bo comes from his nickname of Wild Boar Hog. Bo Jackson's a very Southern guy. You saw it in the introduction, his Heisman speech. He has this classic kind of Southern warmth about him. Kind of like, I could sit down and talk to this guy, and he's probably a very cool, nice guy, a fun guy to just kind of shoot the breeze with, sit on a porch, watch the sunset in Alabama, talk about football, talk about fishing, hunting. He just has he's a very Southern kind of guy. Wild Boar Hog is a very Southern way to kind of describe a kid who's unruly, kind of maybe a troublemaker in some ways. Now, this is awesome because this could be point number 9. Bo Jackson, God bless him. God bless all people. God have mercy on all people. I never want to judge people positive or negative, right? Christ says, you know, don't judge. So I never want to say how bad or how good someone is. It's not for me to judge. Bo Jackson, by all counts, is a very, very good man. Like, not talking about his athletic ability at all. That's all this lecture is going to be about. Is beauty vis-a-vis the Mozart level athleticism of one of the, I think, the greatest athlete maybe ever, honestly. Because while baseball and football are his forte, I mean, he's just, wait till I talk about like track and field, his running numbers, how fast he was. It's just incredible. Not talking about anything to do with Jackson as an athlete, as a man. He apparently is very down to earth, cool, normal guy with a big heart, very warm, very much like he seems with the clips you see with him. Very down to earth, cool dude who, yeah, like he probably would be very nice to just kind of hang out with him on a porch. That would probably be, you know, he'd probably be up for that. He's not one of these kind of, I'm the man, I'm a legend, glitz and glamour type, you know, and he was the greatest athlete of the 20th century, I think, without a doubt. I mean, I think even greater than people like Jim Thorpe, who's very great in his own right. He was named a Wild Boar Hog because as a kid, he was always getting in trouble. I remember watching, there's a very good documentary about him called 30 for 30. 30 for 30 is not one about him. 30 for 30 is a series ESPN does. 30 for 30 documentaries are very, very good. They're in-depth looks, like an hour-long look at a certain personality. yeah, I highly recommend it. And I don't know what the Bo Jackson 30 for 30 is called, other than I'm sure it has Bo, something with his name in it, so you can find it very, very readily, I'm sure. I remember watching that 30 for 30 about Bo Jackson, and like I think was like throwing bricks and stuff, getting in fights, like nothing like out of the ordinary as a kid. Just he was kind of a troublemaking wild child who maybe the teacher always had to like, okay, you got to do 10 minutes of detention or whatever. And the whole point I'm getting at is he's this, difficult child, perhaps very highly energetic, this wild boar hog. That's why the world knows him as Bo, right? The kind of diminutive of boar rather than Vince or VE or whatever. This wild boar hog turns into a lovely, lovely, beautiful man by all accounts, right? Again, I've never met him. I have no idea. I don't want to judge someone positive or negative. I've heard only the best stuff about Bo Jackson. And again, I'm talking his personally, not like even as an athlete. Like everyone talks to him, like he's down to earth, he's good, he's a great guy. So that's hope for any kind of parents or kids who are like, oh, my child, it's very unruly. My child is a wild boar hog, whatever. Well, Vince Edward Jackson turned out pretty good. He was one of these kind of maybe wild kids getting in trouble, fighting on the playground. Turns out to be a lovely, lovely man. Okay. Before I read you his bio kind of in order, remember, I want you always thinking about just today. I love that Bo Jackson followed Mozart. I did not intend that specifically. I wasn't intentional. I just organized it. There's no rhyme or reason, but it's very appropriate. I'm not kidding. The way that Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart is an absolute master of music, that is what Bo Jackson is for sports. I personally, as you know, from my own athletic background, as a fan, as from a scholarship perspective, I love everything about sports. So, of course, take what I say with a grain of salt of like, well, I'm a huge pro sports person. So, of course, I'm looking at it as my shirt is rose-colored through rose-colored glasses. But I think it's, even if you're not a sports fan, it's undeniable. This man played baseball and football and did athletic stuff in a way like Mozart composed. So it's very, very appropriate to follow Bo Jackson with Mozart. And Bo Jackson is a transition point between Mozart and Ernest Hemingway, who is our next biographical focus come Monday. What Hemingway did with the pen and Mozart with composition, Bo Jackson can do with a baseball bat on a football field, that kind of thing. And people that watch the show, that are fans of this channel, know how much I love humor and jokes and all this kind of stuff. I'm being 100% serious. Before I go through his biography and the constant question of, where am I finding the beauty? This class being the good, the true, the beautiful, these transcendental values that even people who are not Catholic, not religious, come from whatever background can recognize. I know it when I see it type of beautiful stuff. Where is that in the subsequent stuff we'll talk about today? That's what we're going to go through and cover. Barb, hello. It is so good to see you. To get you caught up, we are talking about Bo Jackson.
Oh, right.
And what I've said so far is, I don't want to repeat everything for the purpose of time, but we're just getting into getting his biography. I read 8 points about what he does, and I made a point that it's very serious. He's like the Mozart of sports. As Mozart had that kind of master, control over composition in music, so too Bo Jackson, specifically baseball and football. And I mentioned too that I don't want to judge people positive or negative. I've heard the nicest things about Bo Jackson. He is a good, down-to-earth guy from Alabama who I said multiple times in the stream already, seems like someone you'd love to just kind of sit around and talk to, and just all around cool dude. And a final point for you, his name is Vincent Edward Jackson. He goes by Bo because as a kid, he was kind of wild, getting in fights on playground. So they said he was wild as a boar hog. So Bo comes from the diminutive of boar. Okay, so you really came at the perfect time. Before I go through his biography point by point, and I will, let me read you just some kind of like, stuff off to the side, I guess I could say. What is he famous for? Guys, he is the only professional athlete to be named an all-star in Major League Baseball and the National Football League. The only one. Not one of three, the only one. The 0.00000000000000000000001% chance that a man could be. I mean, that's already like you got to do a bunch of zeros. And I love that you're smiling because that was purposely, overkill, right? The numbers are astronomical. It is already 0.001 to make it to the NFL, period, or to make it to the MLB, period, right? The highest levels of American football and baseball in the world. Already getting to one of those leagues is crazy hard. Getting to both of them, now you're in a group of 10 people. The very famous Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, is one of these men.
Right.
Deion Sanders, who's one of the greatest football players of all time, a Hall of Famer, and the coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, also was a Major League Baseball player. He's definitely, I think Bo Jackson's better. That's my humble 2 cents. I think Bo Jackson's a better overall athlete, even though Bo Jackson, we'll talk about why his career was shortened. It does not have the accolades of Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is in the National Football Hall of Fame, and Deion Sanders is one of the rare men who can say, I'm in Bo Jackson's category. It's already hard enough to get to those levels. Bo Jackson was selected as the best of the best in each level. It's absolutely, it's a sincerely kind of like Da Vinci Mozart type stuff, like really rarefied air. Bo Jackson is an MLB All-Star, and he also plays in the Pro Bowl, the National Football League. Okay, so his basic stats as a football player, he was 3-time first-team All-SEC between 1982 and 85, a consensus All-American and unanimous All-American. He won multiple National Player of the Year awards as a college football player, just football, including the most prestigious Heisman Trophy, which is the Nobel Prize of college football. Like it's the number one college. He wins the Heisman Trophy in 1985. He makes, as I just said, the Pro Bowl in 1990. He's inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1996. His NFL career is, he rushes for almost 3,000 yards, 2,782 yards. He scores 20 touchdowns in the NFL. And here's where these are actually modest stats. He didn't play that long yet. He's not eligible for either Hall of Fame, the MLB or the NFL, despite being Paul Bunyan in reality, because in both you have to have like 10 years of service. So hilariously, or just by mathematical accident, there's tons of guys in both Hall of Fames who are nowhere as close as good as him, but are still crazy world class and happen to play, 11 years in one of these, whatever. He did not play long enough to qualify. Yeah.
ACC is
Southeastern Conference. Yeah. The SEC is their very reputed, famous, like basically NFL of college football, where Alabama Crimson Tide, LSU Tigers, Tennessee Volunteers, Florida Gators, these kind of, epic, very famous college football programs. And the one that he attended is right there. He's the Auburn Tigers, Auburn, Alabama. Remember, he's from Bessemer, Alabama. He attended Auburn University. Bo Jackson played at Auburn, both football and baseball. That seems kind of duh. I mean, if the guy played in the NFL and the MLB, college for him was like Little League. For of course he played both. We'll talk about why there's some bad blood is the wrong word, but some like a bad taste in his mouth with how his college baseball career ends. He felt like there was people trying to get him to focus on football. We'll talk about that in his biography. But those are Bo Jackson's football stats. He wins the Nobel Prize of football in college, the Heisman Trophy, which really is, I mean, I'm not even kidding. The Heisman Trophy is super exclusive. The Heisman Trophy is not just, it's the best college football player. There's also the best gymnast in America and best whatever. The Dick Hauser Trophy is the Heisman Trophy of college baseball. It does not carry the same weight. There's something special where I'm not even kidding. Being a Heisman Trophy winner is like being a Nobel Prize laureate. Now you may be like, football's dumb, sports are dumb. Fine, you're entitled to that view. I'm just saying it has this kind of cultural cash to it. You're a Heisman winner, something like there's really something cool about that. It's like, oh, this guy, he was in the Army or he was in the Navy, whatever. But he was a Ranger, he was a SEAL. Something just really extra special about that. He is his three big football accomplishments are Heisman Trophy, Pro Bowl, and in 1996, he's inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. To say that the Auburn Tigers retired his number is duh. I think at some poll, he was voted the 7th best college football player of all time. This is not talking about any kind of thing to do with baseball yet, right? what are his baseball stats? Let's start with the Auburn Tigers. Do you guys know what a good batting average is in baseball?
300.
Exactly. To hit 300 means you have 10 at bats, you're at the plate 10 times, and you get 3 hits. So extrapolate out. Over the course of a season, if you have 200 at bats, say a college season, you get 60 hits. In the major leagues, if you were to have, that's not uncommon to have 500 at bats. What is that? 160 hits, I think, perhaps like that. Maybe I'm wrong here. Now 200 into 500 would be insane. You have 400 batting average. But yeah, 300 is good. So Bo Jackson, in 1985 in baseball, plays 42 games for the Auburn Tigers, hits 401, okay, and 17 home runs. 17 home runs in 40 games would put him on a major league pace times 4 of hitting almost 70 home runs, which would be a major league record. To just adjust it for numbers. So suffice to say, in 1985, when Bo Jackson is the #1 football player in America, he's also arguably the #1 baseball player in America. He's already prefacing kind of what's coming in his career. In 1985 for the Auburn Tigers, in 42 games, he hits 401, 17 home runs, 43 RBIs, and steals 9 bases. A good on-base plus slugging percentage. On-base percentage means obviously how many times you get on base safely, not counting errors. So hits, hit by pitch, walks. And a slugging percentage measures power. So it's total bases divided into at-bats. Brad, if you go 2 for 2 in a game, you have 2 at-bats, and you have 2 hits, and you hit 2 home runs, you have a 4,000 slugging percentage. It's the highest possible. Because each home run is 4 bases, 4 divided into 1. A good slugging percentage is maybe like 600 for a power hitter. His slugging percentage that year is 864. Okay. An on-base plus slugging, a good one, let's say you want to be like, you can get to 1,000 combined. That's exceptional. 900 is good. He's 1,300. So this guy is off the charts in college already as a baseball and football player. Now,
And question.
yes.
Were the Auburn Tigers, sorry, I've never heard of them. Is that pro or is that?
No, thank you for your question. No, thank you for asking. Don't feel bad about that at all. I'm the ultimate sports junkie. I'd be asking similar questions. I'm serious. But like, what is the difference between a V6 and a V8 engine? What is the engine like? We know. Yeah, it's a good question. No, it is not pro. It is the highest level of college athletics in America.
Okay,
The Auburn Tigers are literally like the Idaho Vandals could play the Auburn Tigers in a football game.
Okay.
It's the Auburn University. It's the most important public state university in Alabama, alongside the University of Alabama.
Okay.
So the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Auburn Tigers are big rivals, like U of I and Boise State used to be. It's college, but it's Division I SEC. It's the highest level of college athletics and arguably the best conference. So it's not pro, but there's a reason why Bo Jackson is able to go pro immediately out of this. With football, there is no kind of minor leagues, but even with baseball, like he's so good, and he's done. If you do exceptionally well as he did in the SEC, they will fast track you in the. It's like you're going to be very close to being ready. It's like the best apprenticeship you could have. So the SEC is not pro. He's not a pro athlete yet, but at college, he's without question the best amateur athlete. Now a scout's going to go further. A scout, and I forget if it was NFL or MLB, but I don't have to explain what a scout is. Obviously, this person, just searching for talent, says that at age 22, no, he's the best athlete in America, period, right now, compared to like 30-year-olds who are men who are in the NFL. He's the best pure athlete. He's raw, maybe, got to work on his, but he's just athletically, no, he's already the greatest athlete in America, arguably. So that's the kind of hype this guy has. Now, on the stats, he finishes his amateur career at Auburn with 28 home runs, which is exceptional in college, only 90 games, and 43 touchdowns in the football field. So he has a combined at Auburn 71 touchdowns/home runs in his undergrad career. Fantastic performance, goes certainly without saying. Now I read you his NFL career stats. NFL, remember, 2,700 yards, 20 touchdowns. In Major League Baseball, he bats 250, which is not bad, but kind of pedestrian. Again, 300 is exceptional. Hitting 270 and 80 is pretty solid. 250 is not bad, but it's okay. It's not like world beating. What's world beating about Bo Jackson is his ability, the freakish stuff he does on the field. On the channel, I told Brad I posted a video this morning called Bo Jackson, Greatest Athlete Since 490 BC. And it's meant to be kind of humorous, but it's a if you check it out on anyone watching this channel, you have the channel Maple Gracjan Syrup, just maple syrup with my name Gracjan in between, Maple Gracjan Syrup. You go on the channel, you see that video. He just does crazy freakish stuff. Like his stats for both NFL and MLB, he doesn't play that long. He doesn't have like any kind of record in either league for like the most home runs, touchdowns. He just does things that no other human being has ever done before. Literally, like he'll throw a baseball. I told Brad, he throws out a guy from the left field wall, and throws a baseball in the air at 360 feet on a line, just like goalpost on a football field. So the muzzle velocity, the velocity leaving his hand is like at 109 miles an hour. There's almost nobody on earth can do that. So Bo Jackson's like feats on the baseball field are the kind of freakish accomplishments more so than like the long productivity. Remember, he doesn't play that long. A devastating hip injury he suffers while playing football in 1991 really curtails his career. Not long after, remember, he was born in 62, he's only 29 at that, he's in his prime. So Bo Jackson, it's not so much the numbers, it's more just the ability. But the numbers, he has 20 career touchdowns in the NFL, he hits 141 home runs in Major League Baseball, and a 250 lifetime batting average. Remember, but his freakish ability is rewarded with him being recognized with him being the only man ever to play in both all-star games of each league. I don't need to tell anyone, but if you're in the NFL or MLB, you're already the best in the world. That's an extra like cream of the crop, and he's in that rare category. And not rare category, the actual unique of the only guy in that category. He's like, I mean, it's more rare than guys who went to the moon, right? 13 people went to the moon. Bo Jackson's the only guy, one guy, who played in the MLB and NFL All-Star games, the NFL Pro Bowl. Bo Jackson's a good guy. Let me just read you quickly, just very briefly about this. When the Alabama suffered these devastating tornadoes in April of 2011, I was actually there. My wife and I, Kate, our degrees. I'm saying approximately, not during. So, exactly, that sounded like I was not like we were not in the path, nothing. But these tornadoes happened April 2011. My wife and I got our PhDs from Mississippi State, and we got there in 2010 to 2015. The spring of 2011 was our first year of grad school in Mississippi State. Mississippi State and Starkville and Tuscaloosa, where the tornadoes were, are the closest schools in the SEC. It's only 80 miles away. And we would often go to Tuscaloosa just for the shops, whatever. I remember driving in Tuscaloosa in the wake of this, and there's just forests that were completely level. So no, thank God we were not there. We were not there in a direct way, whereas in the path of harm. I'm saying that we were in the kind of proximate region. I remember this event, there were devastating tornadoes. In the wake of this, Jackson does a bike tour called, quote, Bo Bikes Bama. And the bike tour lasts 5 days. He visits different towns. He's accompanied by certain celebrities along the way. He raises $1.1 million, the Alabama governor's emergency relief fund. Even more heartrending and beautiful, in the wake of the awful Uvalde massacre in 2022, Bo Jackson donated $170,000 to pay for the victim's family funeral expenses. Just because they didn't even like raise stuff and you just give them money, Bo Jackson really, again, just two examples. Really kind of a guy, good, down to earth kind of good guy. Again, I can't stress enough. And so many people that are like good guys often are like very cheesy and obnoxious. He's like not. He's cool and good. He's not like, oh, and by the way, he has every foundation. Everything is, me. No, he's kind of just like, again, I should not judge people in any direction, good or bad. I've only ever heard really, really good stuff about this man. All right, so let's go through his biography. Yeah, Brad.
What position did he play
in baseball? He was an outfielder.
Oh.
Yeah, center fielder. There's also a clip he played right field. He's right-handed. Right-handed baseball players play everywhere. If you're left-handed, you are limited to outfield, first base, and the most prized position in all baseball is a left-handed pitcher. But you'll never see a left-handed shortstop catcher. Right-handed guys play everywhere. But Bo Jackson, with his profile, incredible speed, ability to get the ball, he's an outfielder in baseball. He's an outfielder in baseball, a running back in football. Those are his positions. Played running back in football, and I'm laughing because the Oakland Raiders list him as a fullback at one point. And the reason that's funny is he's so huge. He's the fastest guy in the team, but he weighs like 6,000 pounds of muscle. So it's hilarious that he's like listed as, it's incredible. Yeah, well, that is a good segue getting to some of the kind of the thing I'm going to end with this class, the crazy stories about him. There's so many. All right. The bio, going through pretty fast. He was born the 8th of 10 children, November 30th, 1962. Because it is 2024, 62 just happens to be 62 years ago. He's 62 years old as we do this lecture right now. He attended McAdory High School in McCalla, where he was already a star then. As a senior, he rushed for over 1,000 yards in the football field, which is very good. That's not crazy. It's not like he rushed for 9,000 yards. 1,000 yards, that's a great benchmark. But this is pretty crazy. In 25 games for the baseball team, he hit 20 home runs. So he basically hit a home run every single game. A baseball player in a major league season, which is 160 games, if that guy hits 20 home runs, that's very solid. That's a home run every 8 games. Bo Jackson hit a home run every game, basically, 20 and 25 games. And you think about his reputation is getting out, people are not giving him good pitches. They're not just saying, here you go, they're probably throwing the balls in dirt, whatever, he's still homering. He was a 2-time state champion in the decathlon. This is all high school. Both times that he was the decathlon state champion, he built up such a crazy lead before the 1,500 meters, the mile, that he didn't even do the event. He just took a nothing and still won the decathlon. He does a lot of this in his life. He's like, well, I already won, so I guess I quit. Like, he's so humble. Really, he's like, I don't have to, like, the people are saying he's gonna be the #1 pick in football. And they asked him, like, why didn't you go to the NFL scouting combine? Like, the training, he's like, why would I go? Like, it was very wise. My stock only dropped. I already saying #1. If I'm #1, I can only go down. Am I can just go there and prove I'm the best? I'm not even gonna go. Like, he's not. I'll go there and then I'll get cameras. He's a very, again, sorry for being repetitive, but he seems like a very humble, not like all about the limelight guy. People are saying I'm #1, so I'll go and make a reality show. People, be fawn over me. No, he's like, I don't have to show up. I'll go fishing. By the way, he's a very Southern guy. He loves hunting and fishing. I'll read this story in a second. Before, when he was playing for the Kansas City Royals, the baseball team, he would do archery before the game. Yeah, like he's a very, remember watching the thing about it, he loves bows. It has nothing to do with, his name. That's so cheesy and stupid. Oh, Bo likes bows. I'm talking about like actual, bow and arrow. He really likes that. It's like a hobby for him. So he would do target practice in the Royals like thing. That's the most Southern thing I heard in my life. Like for the game, just shooting arrows like in the, somewhere in the bowels of the stadium, So he's like, sorry, go ahead.
Zen archery.
Zen archery, exactly. What is like Zen and motorcycle maintenance, Zen and archery. He says, quote, hilarious, distance is the only thing I hate about track, end quote. I'll run super fast. He's like, I'm not gonna do a stupid distance crap cross country. In 1982, Jackson, who's 20 years old, finishing up high school, set state school record, 19 years old, excuse me, he turns 20 in the fall. His first year in college is 19. Set state school records for indoor high jump at 6 feet 9 inches and triple jump at 48 feet 8 inches. During his time at Auburn, we read some of these things already, right? He runs for over 4,000 yards. Okay, I'm not going to kind of repeat his stat, except to kind of point some things. Like in the 1983 Auburn-Alabama game, this is the Iron Bowl, the great rivalry. He runs for 256 yards on 20 carries. That's just 12.8 yards per carry. All of us are devoted Vandal fans. If our Vandal running back gets five yards a carry, that's fantastic. Think about it. 1st and 10, 5-yard gain, 2nd and 5. Next play, he picks up the first down. 4 yards a carry is great. He's 12.8 yards per carry. It's just insane. It's insane. It's like saying like, what's the top speed your car can do? And you're like, well, like on the auto, mine get to 200 miles an hour. What about you? Oh, mine can do like 700, I mean, it's like, it's not even close. 13 yards per carry. In 1985, he rushes for 1,800 yards, 1,786. Remember I said he rushed for 1,000 yards in high school? That was pretty good. Rushing for 1,800 yards in SEC is insane. Is like moon landing stuff. It's crazy stuff. Second best single performance in SEC history. He's awarded the Heisman Trophy. He is only one of 3 players to have their number retired at Auburn. Like I mentioned earlier, Jackson's ranked in 2007, ESPN, Entertainment, Sports, and Programming Network. I always get a smile out of like, I've watched so much ESPN and so much EWTN in my life that I mix them up. But ESPN, which is the great sports network, ranks him number 8 of their greatest college football players. Remember, just football, not athletes. That they include other sports. He's number 1, period. He's number 0. Like no one even's in the thing. Just football. He's a top 10 player. Here's where the scout in April 1985, a major league scout, says Jackson's only weakness is a baseball player. Now we talk about football. He's the Heisman Trophy winner. He's the Nobel Prize winner in football. He's the Academy Award lead actor in football. As baseball, the scout says his only weakness is lack of experience. Like he's perfect at the game. He just hasn't played long. It's not a weakness. What is this lead, operatic singer's weakness? Well, she just hasn't performed enough on stage. No, but what about her technique? No, that's all perfect. She hasn't just, oh, that's not a weakness. She has to go on stage more. His only weakness is he hasn't played enough. The scout said he could be one of the all-time greats, bearing any type of injuries and do-it-all player, and quote, the best pure athlete in America today. Yeah, so he's like this guy already, a 22-year-old kid in college still at the amateur level. He's already the best. While at Auburn, Jackson qualifies for the NCAA Nationals in the 100-meter dash as a sprinter, just because he feels like it. Now, I don't know if you would know this, but the NFL record for 40-yard dash is 4.22 seconds. Crazy. Covering, from a set position, 40-yard sprint, run as fast as you can, time. Anything like 4.45 and under is considered very good. We have the Vandal football program is very good. There are probably a couple guys in the Vandal program that can run a 4.5. If there's anyone in the Vandal that can run like a 4.4, it's very impressive. They have a great chance at an NFL career. 4.5, 4.6, even 4.7. 4.7 is not considered fast by NFL standards. Still very fast for normal people. If you saw a guy run a 4.7, I'd say that guy can move. Bo Jackson, coaches claim runs a 3.9 at a hand time thing. I don't know if you understand this. The difference between a 4.5 and a 4.6, 1/10 of a second is like 5 feet of real time. So the guy who runs a 4.7 outside, the normal guy, he's already fast in real life compared to Bo Jackson's 3.9. Now, this is kind of mythological, it's claimed, but that would be like 30 feet of real space. Like the guy is already really fast, but look like he's walking compared to how fast Bo Jackson is. Did I mention Bo Jackson is 6'2", 230 pounds with like 0% body fat. Bo Jackson is like, he looks like a tree trunk dislodged itself and grew arms. He's enormous. This guy is jacked out of his mind. He looks like a professional bodybuilder and he's faster than sprinters. In fact, he's so fast. Do you see now why I'm saying he's like Mozart of athletes? That has nothing to do with baseball or football. Of course, speed and athleticism help, but him qualifying as a sprinter for the 100, that's not baseball, football. It's track and field. And this is college level SEC people. He's already the best, in the nation. Apparently, the real time is 4.12. Some people say 4.13. It still would be the fastest time ever recorded for a football player, ever in the history of football. 3.9 is just, that's disgusting. That's probably not real. But imagine how good you have to be to people say the fish was this big, right? Like with Bo Jackson with 3.9, it's actually believable. Maybe, I mean, he's that crazy good. Bo Jackson does not attend the NFL scouting combine. Quote, I did not go because I was already picked to be the first person to go in the draft. If you're going to be the first person to go in the draft, why should you go to a combine and do all of that? End quote. Yeah, he's right. Again, man, a few words, kind of Southern country wisdom. Yeah, I'm not just going to go fire my bow and arrow. Why would I go do this? Yeah.
When did they switch from running like the 100-yard dash or the 220 and all that kind of stuff, like in the late 50s and very early 60s?
No idea.
Running
yeah,
meters.
No idea. The reason I know nothing about track and field, besides the fact of being blazing fast myself. I have no idea. Track and field, why do they do meters? Because the international jurisdictions, like if I'm not mistaken,
The Olympics.
yeah, the Olympics for sure. But apologies to all track and field people. I think like the Diamond League is the professional track and field association. They do like international meets. They're all in meters and stuff. And you're racing in Amsterdam, Prague, so it's all meet. I think it's for that reason. Jackson is picked, surprise, surprise, #1 overall in the NFL draft in 1986 by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he refuses to play for them. Here's the kind of bad blood thing. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers invite him to come tour the facility, and they tell him, oh, the NCAA, amateur, SEC says it's okay. Turns out not okay, and he's ruled ineligible for the last part of his baseball season in Auburn. And this makes him furious, and he thinks these people did this on purpose. They're trying to get me away from baseball and make me ineligible, and he's refused to sign with them. Here's a guy, here's a true kind of like, Catholic personality. Jackson is not a Catholic. Jackson, from what I understand, his religion too is very kind of close to his vest. If you see and Christ himself says, pray to the closed door, your father see and repay. He's not the showy kind of guy. Jackson, beautiful in his Heisman speech that opens this video, he talks about, want to thank the Lord. Beautiful story. It's kind of beautiful, kind of like simple faith of his friend had a plaque, and how much did the Lord love me? And he spread his arms, said this much, and died for me on the cross. Very beautiful. So Jackson is some kind of Christian, maybe Baptist tradition. He's not a Catholic, as far as I know. Maybe Bob, who knows? I don't know. Maybe let's have him on the show and ask him. I don't know. But I'm saying, what a kind of beautiful Catholic Christian approach. He's not all about the money. Christ says you cannot worship God and money. The Buccaneers offer him $7 million, $7.6 million 5-year contract. Turns it down to sign a $1 million contract with the Kansas City Royals. Choose baseball. He leaves $6 million on the table because he's like, no, I'm a man of principle. These guys, he claims the Buccaneers, brought me in only to as a trick. They brought me in to make me ineligible at work and thinking I'm going to be a patsy and be like, oh, okay, I'm ineligible, I guess I'll do football. And no, he refused to sign with them. He tells them, you can draft me, but you're going to be wasting a draft. And he never plays for them. This is 1986. Jackson signs with the Royals, who draft him in the 4th round of the baseball drafts, a 3-year contract worth just over $1 million. Jackson, 8th of 10 kids, comes from a poor family. He mentioned in his Heisman speech, often like sleeping on the floor of their house. He leaves $6 million on the table. This is a man of principle. This guy could have been like, whatever, I'll take the money. He doesn't. He takes $6 million less to play baseball, spends 50-some games in the minor leagues, is called up to the Royals in 86. He's already a star the next year. In 1987, he's already the Royals' regular left fielder as a 25-year-old. So he's not, there are some major leaguers, speaking of Mozart, who are, 20 years old. Kids make it. 25 is like a normal time to make it, but he's, still very young. In 1987, he hits 22 home runs, 53 runs batted in, bless you, Brad. And he really starts to show his kind of top-notch potential in 1989. That's the year he gets named to the All-Star game. 1989 is the year that Jackson's named to the All-Star game. And guess what? He's named most valuable player of the All-Star game. So he's already in the major leagues, plus NFL. We haven't talked about NFL yet. NFL is his hobby. This guy is so good. His hobby is playing in the National Football League. Serious. So he's already in the major leagues. He's already named to the All-Star game. He gets named MVP. Why? Well, he makes a nice line drive diving catch. Excuse me. Wow. He makes a nice diving catch to save, to prevent a 2-run double in the gap on a line drive. That's cool. Coolest thing he does is he leads off the game with a 450-foot home run to dead center. And the coolest thing is Vin Scully, here's the call, quote, "Look at that one. Bo Jackson says hello." Okay. Wade Boggs, also a very famous baseball player, follows with his own home runs. The first time in the All-Star game, first pair in All-Star history to lead off the first team with back-to-back home runs. Vin Scully, famous Dodgers announcer, God rest his soul, I think he recently died. Vin Scully, I'm serious, is like, sorry?
About 2 years ago.
Yeah, do you remember? Vin Scully is a classic. Vin Scully is so famous. He was the voice of the Dodgers. He was a national American radio personality. Look at that one. Bo Jackson says hello. Vin Scully is talking to Ronald Reagan in the booth when Bo Jackson does that. So Jackson's like, the president is here, 450-foot bomb to dead center. And I think Reagan said something like, he's really good. like, what do you say to that? Like, wow, we've been hearing a lot about this guy. At this point, he's already in the NFL too. What a stud. What's his NFL deal? Well, let me see. We'll talk about that in a second. But just with baseball, 1989 is his famous season. He's going to retire already after 1994. Very beautiful, again, kind of Catholic reason. I'm using Catholic scare quote of like, Jackson's not a Catholic himself, but it's kind of what Catholic means, the universal, these universal Christian values. He says, by retiring age 32, quote, "I got to know my family. That looks better to me than any $10 million contract." This guy's always saying no to money. He turns down the Buccaneers, whatever. He's like, well, I don't care. Beautiful, sweet story. God rest his mom's soul. He promises her a home run, for her. Like, once he returns from he got hip replacement surgery. Let me talk about the story now. That's the great athletic tragedy in his life. He was so strong, no joke, playing in a football game against Cincinnati Bengals. The guy grabs his leg. Lesser players would just get tackled. He was so strong, he tried to pull out of the tackle and like dislodged his hip. And again, the story is small t tragedy. I think he's doing well now. He's 62, still, young man, like alive and well. Great. He had a fantastic career. We're talking about him as, I think it's true, the greatest athlete ever. I don't want to misuse the word tragedy. What I'm saying is that's what derails kind of his career. He's never the same after that. He never plays football again. And in baseball, he's greatly kind of diminished. He's not the player he once was. Bo Jackson, not the player he once was, is still the best player on the team. Like FYI, before he was just a superhero. Now he's just the best guy on the team, you know. But Jackson, he tells his mom, hit a home run for her. Sadly, she dies before he can returns. But in his first at bat after surgery, he homers. Because he's a superhero. He can do that. He's a guy who doesn't matter if it's major leagues. He's like, I can hit home runs whenever I feel like it. Kind of, There'll be kids like, the third base coach gives signs, and kids will ask the stupid question. I mean, these sweet kids, but in their innocence, why doesn't the third base coach just tell the guy to hit a home run? Like if it's that easy. Bo Jackson got like, I want you to homer now, and he could do it on command, kind of thing. And yes, I'm being sarcastic. Bo Jackson in 1989 struck out 171 times, which was the 10th most strikeouts in a single season since 1893. So Bo Jackson, like, he went big or went home. He swung as hard as possible and hit a ball 9,000 feet, like in the next city, or struck out. Bo Jackson is not, like I said again, if you want a guy who's the best kind of pure hitter of all time, highest batting average, best stats, not going to be Bo Jackson. We're talking about pure God-given talent. Nobody compares to him. He famously had a lot of hilarious stories. He struck out and he'd break his bat over his leg out of frustration. And it's probably wrong to use the word cute, but it's like when you realize what a nice kind of like lovable guy he is, it's just funny to see him angry, but he's so strong. And his teammates said, Bo Jackson once struck out and just broke a bat on his legs were like this big. He was like, right? And a guy said that one of his teammates tried it and got like a thigh bruise and had to be out for a couple of like, and he realized like, I'm not Bo Jackson. I can't break bats. And Bo Jackson once broke a bat, broke out his head. Like, he's just totally, I'm dead serious. Bo Jackson, the best comparison, I'm not kidding. Bo Jackson is like the American legend of Paul Bunyan. He's like Paul Bunyan came to life. One of these like, in real life, Bo Jackson was, I think, 6'1", 230 pounds, pure muscle. But it's like, for the mythology surrounding him, he might as well be, 6'8", 900 pounds of 0% body fat. Like he was that kind of freak kind of athlete. All right, well, let's talk about his football career. That's his baseball career. Baseball career from 86 to early 90s. He finishes his career with the California Angels, a team that does not exist anymore, meaning they're the Los Angeles Angels. Before they were the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, the Anaheim Angels. The California Angels wait for it. Yeah?
No, the LA Angels, did that used to be the Brooklyn Dodgers?
No, that's the Dodgers. The Brooklyn Dodgers are the LA Dodgers.
Yeah.
There used to be two teams in New York, the New York Giants, like the football team, which is still that, the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers. They became the San Francisco Giants and the LA Dodgers, and then New York got a new team, just the New York Mets. The Yankees have always been there. The LA Angels are just an expansion team. I don't know when they come in, the 70s maybe, but they're the California Angels. That was way cool. Anyone ever seen the movie Angels in the Outfield, that 1994 movie? It's a very sweet movie. California Angels is way cooler than the LA Angels, but anyways. Jackson's drafted, let's talk about football. Jackson's drafted #1 by the Buccaneers, refuses to play for them. Remember, they did him wrong. I think he has a point. I'm serious. Maybe he has a point there. They invited him knowing it's gonna be a violation. Oops, sorry, we didn't realize, to get him to like not do the baseball thing. Anyone know who the LA, or excuse me, though they are the LA Raiders. I was right. They become the Oakland Raiders today.
Aren't they the Las Vegas?
They're the
Raiders?
Las Vegas Raiders now. Yeah.
Oh,
But the LA Raiders then were owned by a man named Al Davis.
yeah.
God rest his soul. Anyone know about Al Davis?
Yeah.
Al Davis was a UC with a lot of derision. I love that you're a Bay Area person. How long did you live in the Bay Area? 14 years. Yeah. So you got all the Al Davis you wanted probably in the San Francisco Chronicle and whatever. Al Davis is very much like kind of Trump-like
Yeah.
tactic, whatever. Well, this is great for Jackson. Al Davis allows Jackson to play baseball and football. Good for Al Davis. Al Davis says, yeah. He says, yeah, man. He's like he's the opposite of the Buccaneers. Remember, Buccaneers, they try again, I don't want to falsely accuse the Buccaneers. Calumny is the wrong thing to like falsely. Jackson claims that happened. I wasn't there. What I do know is the Buccaneers, it seems like they don't want him to play baseball. A lot of NFL teams probably don't. Al Davis is like, yeah, you can play both. And good things come to those who wait. He offers him a 5-year, $7.4 million contract, even more money than the Buccaneers wanted, where Jackson would be permitted to play the entire baseball season with the Royals and then show up once the MLB season was over as his hobby, like show up mid-season. I can't explain this enough. Guys who are in the NFL obviously train year-round. They take forever to get in shape. Jackson, his training is not doing football while everyone else is playing football and transitioning directly from baseball to football as if it's high school. As if it's he's like the high school, big man on campus in some small town who finishes his basketball season. That's how good this guy was. Jackson joins the Raiders in time for their Week 8 matchup. This is 1987. Jackson shares the backfield with Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen is one of the best football players of all time, Hall of Famer. Jackson becomes the starter pretty quickly, despite being listed as a fullback. The reason it's so funny, football people will appreciate this. Marcus Allen is the classic halfback, which is the halfback, tailback, running back, all means the same thing. Very light, thin, super fast. Fullback is supposed to be basically, for lack of a better word, a huge fat guy who's almost like a lineman whose job is to be a battering ram, just to hit linebackers and clear the way for the tailback. I am being uncharitable to fullbacks calling them fat. They're not fat. They're just massive block-like linebacker guys. Bo Jackson is a massive block-like linebacker guy, but who's faster than Marcus Allen and the tailbacks. So they list him at fullback because he's ripped out of his mind. He's 900 pounds of muscle. And then they're like, oh, by the way, you're the starting tailback. His greatest performance is November 30th, 1987, his most famous football performance. It's on Monday Night Football. And Brian Bosworth of the Seattle Seahawks is chirping. He's talking a lot of trash. I'm going to shut down Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson sets a single game record with 221 yards, including running over Brian Bosworth at one point in the game at the goal line. So Brian Bosworth is linebacker for the Seahawks, linebacker, defensive player, tackler. He's like, Bo Jackson, all this hype. Bo Jackson, maybe he's saying stuff like he's disrespectful. He thinks he can just like play baseball and show up like football. What, he doesn't respect us? Thinks the NFL is a joke? Yeah, and he's right. Bo Jackson shows up mid-season, right? Just showed up off the baseball field. Hasn't played football in who knows how long. And sets a Monday Night Football record, has a 91-yard touchdown where he looks like he's running 6,000 miles an hour. Like it outruns the entire thing. And the announcers are laughing like, Bo, come back. He runs all the way in the tunnel. Like he's going past Spokane. He's on the way to, like he has a 91, and then Bosworth, who's a fantastic player. Bosworth is an amazing linebacker, very kind of like also outsized personality. Bosworth was like, yeah, I'm going to shut down Bo Jackson. By the way, I love this kind of stuff. It's like when the boxers get together and they talk trash. It's very, very, to show the goodwill in this, Bosworth and Jackson end up doing commercials together later. It's not personal. It's funny. But like on the field, no, Bo Jackson, there's one player, Bo Jackson has a pitch, a halfback toss, he runs to the left, and Bosworth meets him at the goal line. And this could go two ways. They could just like hit each other or whatever, or Bosworth can blow up Jackson. Jackson hits him and carries him like 5 yards from the end zone. And Bosworth looks like, I'm never ever going to talk trash again. Like, and it's amazing. So in his rookie season, remember, after showing up halfway with baseball, Jackson still averages 6.8 yards per carry. So it's like, that's still a good number in the NFL, is 4 or 5 yards. He's still an exceptional football player while not caring about playing football, basically. 1989, his same year that he is an MLB All-Star, is named most valuable player, is also his best football league. In 11 games, only 11 games, there's 16 games, now there's 17. He rushes for 950 yards and 4 touchdowns and is named to the, or in the next season, 1990, he rushes for 700 on the back of that. And that's when he's selected for the only Pro Bowl of his career. That's when he accomplishes that Mount Everest moon landing feat. 89, 90. 89 in baseball, All-Star game, when he's MVP. Next year, NFL All-Star game. He sustains the career-ending injury January 13th, 1991. End of Bo Jackson. End of his biography. Like, that's it. 1991, his hip is dislocated, and then you have to rewind me back. Remember, he still plays with California Angels and Chicago White Sox. In baseball a little bit, but once more, this beautiful man that he is, seemingly, detached from worldly goods, says, I want to spend time with my family. I'm only 32, but I'm going to do something else. And he's been doing something else ever since then, the past 30 years. I don't know. He hangs out now and then, but he seems like a very, again, like the guy you love to have as your next door neighbor. Hey, come check out, shoot bow and arrows in my target, All right, what are some like hype around it? I had so much stuff. This is a long lecture, but whatever. It's worth it. Is this my favorite lecture we've ever done? I'm not even gonna hesitate, absolutely. In the video games, he's called the greatest athlete in video game history. He was part of this 1989 video game called Tecmo Bowl, TECMO. The virtual version of him. The people trying to make him legit, because he is Paul Bunyan, made him too good. And a popular move in the game was to run backwards with Bo Jackson to your own goal line, and then just run the whole way in the field and just destroy every player. Like he was impossible to tackle in the game. So kids would come in the early 90s like, oh man, I had Bo Jackson. He scored 80 touchdowns. Like he's considered the greatest video game player of all time. And some people ask like, yeah, but he actually was that good in real life. Like if you look at him like in real life, that's what he did. He was untackleable, basically. He was a very successful pitchman. There was an advertising campaign Nike did in 89-90 called Bo Knows. Please look this up on YouTube. And it would be Bo Jackson saying like, and then the whole idea was, he's a polymath, a renaissance man. He's an NFL, MLB player. But like sports stars would be like, wait, Bo knows hockey? And he'd be playing hockey. Bo knows tennis? According to ESPN's 30 for 30, which here's the title about it. It's called You Don't Know Bo. The Bo Knows campaign increased Nike sales by 1,000% and supplanted Reebok as the leader in the sports entertainment category. So it establishes Jackson as kind of a permanent pop culture fixation. He's already, without question, by 1990, the greatest athlete. I'm not joking, maybe in human history. My funny video, which is the highlight video on Maple Gracjan here at the channel, Bo Jackson, greatest athlete since 490 BC. 490 BC is the Battle of Marathon, where the marathon is born, because one guy sprints back from the battlefield, 26.2 miles, to declare Nike victory and dies. So I'm like, maybe that guy's a better athlete. He could sprint, but except for him, in the past 2,500 years, no one's been as good as Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson by 1990 is already considered like, we've never seen anything like this. Once more, he's like Mozart level. He's a prodigy. The You Don't Know Bo campaigns make him a legend. Like, you guys know the blues legend Bo Diddley? They do the commercial together, and the famous line be, Bo, you don't know Diddley. Like, you don't know Diddley squat. Yeah. So it is this kind of like a very warm and fuzzy, purposeful cheesiness, whatever. And it makes him just, it's kind of like pop culture. Let's see what else. All right. Let's read his stories. I'm gonna read his stories. This is great. So this is like, hey, everyone's like, I came for the crazy stories. Let me read you some of his crazy stories. Everyone's got his biography, right? His name is Vincent Jackson. His name Bo, wild boar hog as a kid. You got all his stats. Only man ever to be all-star in MLB and NFL. You got all that. Pop culture icon, ad man that increases sales by 1,000%. I mean, what is not to like with this guy? Especially when you realize like he's a very humble and good man, it seems like. You root for people like that. If this guy was a complete bleeping bleep bleep bleep, it's like, well, he's really good. He's amazing and seems like a pretty cool guy.
So his whole pro career was about 4 or 5 years?
More like 7 or 8. Well, actually even like a decade. Like he wins the Heisman in 85. He's still amateur then. Then there are the discussion with the Buccaneers. His last season playing baseball in California was 1994. If you count 85, 86, it's 10 years. Let's call it a decade. About a decade, yeah. But way shorter than it should have been.
Okay. Yeah.
Way shorter. I mean, he retires at 32. He could have easily played at least like Y2K to 2000. Played until he was 38, like a lot of athletes do. So it was shorter than it could have been. But it was not 1 year. It was a good, and his heyday was really 88, 89, 87. The end of the 80s was kind of his old. Because remember, his devastating injury is January 91. First year as the first year of the 90s starts, kind of. So he really is late 80s kind of phenomenal. That's his big time. I mean, it factors in perfectly. The glitz and glamour of the Reagan years and all that. He's the guy during, Make America. What was it? Not Make America. It was Morning Again in America. I think Reagan does say Make America Great Again. That slogan associated with Trump, Reagan does say that at one point. But Reagan's number one slogan was like Morning Again in America. We're bringing America back to like bright new dawn. And Jackson was like the sports pop culture icon at that time. As every bit as famous as the guy people often assume, like Michael Jordan. That was his heyday too. Jackson doesn't give up anything to Jordan in terms of like glitz and glamour, especially this Bo Knows campaign. As Jordan was a pitchman for Nike, like they're very much equals, even in pop culture value, you could say. Crazy stories. All right, another story has emerged about Jackson. It comes from his alma mater, Auburn University. What did Jackson do at Auburn? Remember, he was baseball and football. He won the Nobel Prize, Heisman Trophy. Baseball was amazing, and he was qualified for nationals as a sprinter. A former diving coach, swimming, recounts the time Bo walked in. Bo has no experience in the sport, but he stunned the university diving team with his ability to perform high dives. According to the story, Bo casually walked into the practice pool for the Auburn U swim team in 1987 during the filming of Nike commercial and performed a, quote, double front flip dive. which consists of flying up in the air, doing a 2.5 tuck, 2 front flips, and landing in a dive. My jaw must have hit the floor, said Auburn diving coach Rick Theobald. Quote, all the divers, all the kids that were there clapping and saying they were all just shocked and impressed as I was. He was probably about 220 pounds, and the amount of muscle on him, it was ridiculous for one person. When I was coaching Auburn, the largest guy I had was a guy named Mike Smith, about 170. But Jackson at 220 is a perfect dive. And the funny story is, so classic Bo, he does like on the second highest thing, and the coach was like, well, I mean, that was amazing. That was really good, actually. Or you can try the highest one. And he's like, I'm not crazy or something like that. Like, you probably can do fine. He's like, no, I'm not nuts. But you seem like you are nuts. You just walked in here, did an Olympic dive. It just seemed like an alien move. Like, go do that one. You probably, no. He's always kind of like, come on.
As big as he was, they have to refill the pool every time.
Yeah, maybe, exactly. He probably displaced, he was 9,000 pounds of pure muscle. He probably displaced the entire pool and caused a tsunami. Exactly. Like, go look at pictures of Bo Jackson. Honestly, his arms look like the size of a strong man's legs. Like, he's enormous. Looks like he has legs for arms. In my Bo Jackson video, he throws out this guy from right field, and he's flipping out, and he's getting high fives from his teammates, and he's playing right field, and the center field and the left fielder are both adult men MLB players, and look like kids compared to him. Like, the center fielder is like 6'3", 200, very well-built man, and he looks like tiny compared to Bo Jackson, who looks like he's 600 pounds and 0% body fat. Like, Bo Jackson looks like the Incredible Hulk, Superman, whatever. I mean, like, he didn't look the part. He looked extraterrestrial. That was the point. He didn't look the part. He looked like he was like a cheat code on a video game. Bo Jackson was designed by AI. Like, he's not a human. Point number 2, these crazy stories. The throw from Harold Reynolds, remember, he threw out a guy from the wall, which means he threw the ball, left his arm at like 110 miles an hour. Point number 3, remember, he requests, like, I just want Vincent Jackson on my gravestone. Like, very humble. That's the point I made. I don't know if it might be before you came in, but like, on his gravestone, he said, no, I'm just Vincent Jackson. That might be my nickname. My name is Vincent Jackson. You can imagine, here I'm putting words in his mouth. But you can imagine, like, Vincent Jackson, child of God, Vincent Jackson, person. Like, I don't need the accolades. Like, if you're that good, you don't need the kind of like, hey guys, do you guys think I'm good? Like, he's beyond that in a certain sense.
What did you say his middle?
Edward. His mom loved the actor Vincent Edwards, so named him Vincent Edward Jackson. He says, quote, I don't like people knowing my every move. I like to keep people guessing no matter what the situation is. I've always done that, end quote. These 2 Royal players you're talking about, they're in the clubhouse. Kansas City Royals baseball team. And we had a football. When Bo comes in, one of us throws it to him. These 2 200-pound baseball players. When Bo comes in, we throw it to him. We're going to go tackle him. Within seconds, he picked both of us up, one in each arm.
Oh my God.
So these 2 men, they're goofing around. And again, I can't stress enough, Bo Jackson is such like a teddy bear good guy. Whatever, like, hey, let's go mess with Bo. Like, we love him, right? They'll do what brothers do. We're gonna play around with him. Like, hey, Bo, catch. They throw a football, and they go to tackle him. And he just boom, boom, picks these guys, these 2 men up, not kids. The way a father picks up his sons, whatever, in each arm.
Yeah, played for, right. He played for the San Francisco Clippers for the Coast Guard.
That is amazing. Is that a basketball team?
No, the football team.
The football team.
Which you want, they're what, 49ers?
Brad, that is freaking
Some
cool,
guy-
man. That is
way
cool.
over 200 pounds. He's pretty good. That in 13. And he was giving some guy a bunch of crap. And this guy went over to him and picked him up. And then bam, bam, bam against the wall. So that guy was really.
So that guy, yeah, was like, at that point, yeah, some people you don't want to get on there. You don't want to be picked up by a guy like that. You don't want to get on that guy's bad side. Luckily here, they were just joking. But that seems like, a message is being sent. Hello. Guys, ever freaking Parker, hello. This is awesome. People are coming in. Parker, you got to watch this on the channel later. Because we're about to be done in like 5 minutes. A lot of really good stories today. The one you just missed was, we're talking about Bo Jackson, the Paul Bunyan baseball player. He's an NFL player, baseball player, only man ever to make the all-star team in both sports. The teammates are joking. We're telling Bo Jackson stories now. Remember, you can watch the channel later. It's gonna be our longest episode ever. It's like 2 hours long, and it's worth every second. We're talking about just funny Bo Jackson stories that these 2 guys are gonna mess with him on his team. They throw him a football as baseball players, and he picks them both up in each arm. Like these 2 men. Some guy, point story number 4, talked about, quote, I believe Bo could play Major League center field today, could run the bases. I don't believe there's any club who's 24th or 25th man could do any more than Bo could do right now. This is when he's still technically an amateur. Your question earlier, at Auburn, they're already saying he's already better than major leaguers, like as a college kid. He's already just, you can put him out there, yeah, he has to learn how to hit, whatever, but no one cares. Jackson never attended a professional football or baseball game, nor does he want to. like Jackson attended the games he played. He's not a fan. He talked about his hobbies were hunting and fishing and firing bow and arrows. Like he denies it. I don't care. If his athletic career ended today, point number 4, Jackson says he would buy some land in the woods and build a youth center. I don't want them to live the childhood I lived. I would want to be the person to get them off the wrong track, end quote. So both very funny and very kind of nice. Like Jackson comes again from a very poor family, loves his mama very much, loves his mother, very beautiful. In the video that I'll post to the channel later, I open from his Heisman acceptance speech, and he has a beautiful message about his faith in Christ and his beautiful message about how much he loves his mother. Talks about growing up in abject poverty. It's very beautiful. It's like, you want to cry. He's like, we're 8 of 10 kids and slept on the floor, but I knew my mother would always protect me. It's very sweet. Hearing a guy talk so sweet about his mom, a guy who can pick up grown men with his arms, like talking like, loving his mama. Story number 6. Jackson once ventured into the Auburn weight room, reclined on the bench press, and started pumping out, lifting 365 pounds, 380, then 400. Is that enough? He asked the stunned Auburn strength coach. And this guy says, it's a proven fact that he's stronger than us, and we lift, implying he doesn't even work out, and he still was a monster. Jackson, shortly after acquiring a bow, qualified easily for a local hunting club. He's like a Chuck Norris guy. On top of that, he's a clean liver. Clean, like, not that he has a clean liver, hopefully as well, praise God. Clean liver health-wise, like he lives cleanly. Quote, he loves kids, old folks, and the handicapped. He likes to hunt and fish. He's just an everyday type guy. We said this right here, right? In high school, this is a story you missed earlier. Remember, like, have I told you enough how excited about this personage, this episode? It's just, I'm gonna go nuts. We're already 10 minutes after class. I couldn't care less. You guys can leave if I was supposed to do, but I don't have to go to like 3 o'clock. So I'm gonna probably use every second of the time. Jackson, remember in high school, homered 20 times in 25 games, which is insane, and won the decathlon, where he racked up so many points, he just refused to do the last event. He hated distance running. Like he had all his points, he just took a 0, an F. It's like, imagine like telling the professor, I'm not showing up to the final exam. Well, that's a bad move. That's worth 300 points. So you're gonna have 0 out of 300. And you look at his grade, he already has like plus 700. He doesn't need, like, that's what, yeah, it doesn't matter. His first major league home run in Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City was 475 feet. It's still the farthest home run ever hit there. An NFL scout clocked his 40-yard dash, like I said, at 4.1 seconds. That's just as fast as Usain Bolt, the fastest man ever. So Usain Bolt, the fastest man of all time, the 100 meters. Now, I'm not saying Bo Jackson can maintain that speed and beat Usain Bolt over 100 meters. I don't think he can. But again, the fact that we're even questioning this is ridiculous. Bo Jackson is a football and baseball player, and we're asking, is he also the fastest human being to ever live? The fact that we're even questioning that, and he can bench press 400 pounds, and asks whether he's trolling or not, is that okay? Is that good? Imagine asking someone like, you're like, we gotta take IQs. We do IQ tests, and everyone's like, what'd you get, whatever. And it's like, 117, 120, all kind of good numbers, right? And then you ask this guy, he doesn't know what IQ test is. He's like, I got 240. Is that okay? Like he didn't even attend baseball games. He's just so good. He doesn't care. He likes old people. He likes the handicapped. He likes kids. He likes hunting and fishing. He likes basically life. Like I said again, he's still a young man today. He's 62 years old today. He's not even an old guy now. Like you think about him, like right now, it happened, it seems so many years ago. It's 80 and 80s. He's still relatively speaking, in the whole train of things, people that live to be 100 years old, he's still not old. He's only 62 years old now. He's still quite young.
Does he have kids of his own now?
I'm not sure. I don't know much about his personal story, which is so cool. I know very little about his faith, about his marriage. I don't know, which is awesome. Praise God. I heard nothing of the kind of scandals and stuff, like, how some athletes date these kind of like, famous starlet women and all the kind of, like, I've heard nothing bad about him. None of these kind of like intrigue, sordid gossip. I don't know anything about his personal life. Let's finish with some Bo Jackson quotes. I'm not a good spectator. I get bored watching, but I sure love playing the game. I love the competition. I love being better than the next guy. I enjoyed watching people's eyes jump out of their heads and watching me do something that was normal to me. That is beautiful. Really, that is a beautiful description of true genius. For Bo Jackson, we ask, is that okay? 400 pounds. I would love to be able to bench press 400 pounds. The fact that he doesn't even care and does it, it just shows how gifted he was by God. Some people, honestly, and like praise God, all glory to God. God touches in a special way. So the same way that, you know, Mozart was touched musically, he was just touched with athletic gifts that are there. I don't want to say superhuman. No, there's one superhuman human, that's Jesus Christ. He alone is true God and true man. Christ alone is the only man who has actual divinity, but some people are so brushed by divinity, by divine gifts given to them by our Lord and Savior, that they're just like, to them, it's not weird. It's like, yeah, I can throw a ball 900 feet, you know, like we're talking about the most famous stories in baseball is, and again, go to the channel, and you can see today I posted a video called Bo Jackson, best athlete since 490 BC. Have you already seen it?
I've printed out to watch,
Oh,
but
good, cool.
my computer's like.
If you see that, it's kind of his greatest highlights. It's only 5 minutes long. This is maybe 2 hours long. This is the maple syrup. This is just a trailer for it, kind of. If you watch it later, you'll see there's a moment there. It's his most famous athletic feat, arguably, where a guy hits a ball down the line, is a very fast base runner, and the guy's rounding third, about to score. Bo Jackson has the ball in the fence. He's 120 yards away, 360 feet, or not 110. It's like 330 down the line, but it's impossibly far. And the announcer rightfully says, Jackson's not going to be able to get it. Of course he's not. Jackson picks up the ball and throws it on a line from the fence. The catcher's glove gets this guy out, and the guy freaks out, rips his helmet. Like, what happened? Like, did the catcher like pull out a ball from his pocket? And I'm saying this, he thinks like a joke. Like, I was rounding third. I looked back. I'm very fast. The runner is Harold Reynolds, a fantastic baseball player in his own right. He's fast. He has the ball by the wall. The catcher obviously like cheated or something. There's no way. But like Bo Jackson threw a ball from the wall with a muzzle velocity. Again, I'm being serious. For the ball to travel that fast on that line from 310 feet, it probably left his hand about 110 miles an hour. Because 100, I don't know if you know, 100 miles an hour is 150 feet per second. So he probably had to leave his hand to travel 300 some feet in about 2 seconds to get this guy, right? So it's like, that is insane. For him, it's like, well, no big deal. I just picked it up, and most guys would just pick it up and, okay, I'm not gonna get him, you know, whatever. He picked it up and just casually threw this guy on an absolute bullet missile line drive. One bat boy in baseball, I don't know if you know this, but if you break your bat, of course that's bad, but you're gonna have a bad hit normally. An effective pitcher can pitch inside on guys, get them, jam them, and they'll break their bat. What does a broken bat hit often look like? Pitcher jams, you know, break my bat, very weak pop up, shortstop, doesn't even leave the infield. Shortstop catches it, whatever. Break my bat, weak ground ball. Bo Jackson once broke his bat and he homered. Like, to hit a home run, hit the ball 300 some feet, 400 feet, his record almost 500 feet. You hit the ball in the sweet spot of the barrel, all that. He broke his bat. He's so strong, he's still homered. One time he's trying to call timeout. Pitcher's taking too long. He's going to step out, right? Calls timeout. Umpire doesn't grant it to him. He takes his hand off the bat, hits a home run one-handed. Like, just whatever. Like, so again, that's very cool when he says, like, I think here he's actually being very, remember, humility is the acknowledgement of truth. He's not being arrogant. He's like, I enjoyed watching people's eyes jump out of their heads, watching me do something that was normal to me. It's very beautiful. He's like, look, guys, for me, this is normal. I just roll out of bed and can bench press 400 pounds. But I'm humble and wise enough to understand why you think that's cool. And I love doing this for you. It's really cool. I'm serious. Thanks for supporting the team. Come out to the stadium. I love that I can entertain you. Does not a ballet performer feel that way? Like, people love seeing me do the Nutcracker I'm so good at, or an opera singer, anything, right? Like, you want people to enjoy the performance. So it's very kind of humble.
He's batting right-handed.
Yeah.
And which hand does he take off the bat? This one?
I don't even know.
One of them. And anyway,
Yeah.
either this way or this way.
Not gonna lie, like, it doesn't really matter because on one hand, like, no, really, because you on one hand, like, if you're batting right-handed, your top hand, a lot of people say, you know, Ted Williams, the best hitter, says whack the crap out of the ball with the top hand. So you could use the top hand, and that could happen. But the bottom hand too, yeah, taking the knob to the ball. A lot of hitters, every hitter hits through the ball with 2 hands. But some guys finish two-handed, and most guys finish with their hand off the bat. So you technically could, there's a drill you do, flips, in the cage where you hit one-handed, just to strengthen those individually, put them together. So he could have done it either hand. It's not like, oh, if it was just one hand, both could do the job. It's just most people couldn't do it with either hand. Like, only Bo Jackson can actually do this. Most people, you know, you have any kind of baseball experience, you can go up there out 30 pitches, you could hit the ball with this hand and that, like a tennis racket, it could work. Most people are not gonna be able to hit it out of the ballpark. You know, that's the thing, it's just insane. Let's finish with a very Catholic point. Jackson says, again, the most kind of Christian thing, again, I don't know anything about his faith, except he professes belief in Jesus, very beautiful. And in the Heisman speech, he finishes with, thanks the Lord, and he loved us this much. In front of he witnesses the gospel in front of all these people in New York City. And he says at the end of his Heisman speech, which is how I opened the video I put in the maple syrup thing, he's like, how much did God love me? He spread his hands this much and died from the cross. He's like, I hope you feel the same way. I love you. That's how he ends his speech. Very cool. So he has this beautiful public profession of faith in a very Christian way, again, of like pray the closed door. He's not like Tim Tebow, who I have a lot of respect for. Tebow's very out with his faith. A lot of guys, Bo Jackson, I haven't come across like fellowship of Christian athletes, faith, Bible studies. He's very kind of private about a lot of stuff. But this is a very beautiful kind of like the fruit of the, so first sorrowful mystery, agony in the garden, resignation of God's will. 2 quotes from Jackson are very kind of resignatory. Is that a word? Resignated to God's will. Very just beautiful. I have no regrets. I know Bo Jackson was good for professional sports at one time. I know pro sports was great for Bo Jackson then and now. Very beautiful. Like, remember, he has a devastating hip injury. He could be like a whiny baby. And the NFL and blah, blah, blah. No, he's just like, it was awesome. It was great. I had a great life. Man, as an athlete, I'm the man. And when I say I'm the man, all glory to God. Like, he's one of the guys that could say that humbly and he's not like being arrogant. It's like, I got blessed to have a talent, 1 in a billion, forget a million. And I'm glad people enjoyed it. That was cool. And if you think, that I'm some kind of, you enjoyed it, but I loved it too. It was great. There's no reason for anyone to feel sorry for what happened to me. That's the hip injury. If you're like, what are you talking about? When he's playing football, his strength worked against him. A lesser man, when he gets tackled by the ankle and fall down, he tries to get out of this tackle and dislocates his hip, and he's never the same after. He gets surgery, and he never plays football again, I believe, after that. But he comes back, plays a couple more years of baseball, but he's just not the same. Anyone doing anything athletic knows you need to like, go deadlift, go squat, go try to run if you have hip problems. I mean, it's not going to work, right? There's no reason for anyone to feel sorry for what happened to me or what might have been. I didn't play sports to make it to the Hall of Fame. I just played for the love of sport. I still don't know what my stats were. I don't know what stats are. Who cares? That's amazing. It's like, who cares? I just loved hitting massive bombs. I loved picking up the ball. And by the way, remind me to tell the story at the end. Remind me to tell the host piece story. I think I won't forget it, but let me remind me if I do. I just loved picking up the ball and launching it. I still don't know what my stats were, but I know I'm still reaping the benefits, enjoying the accolades and all the awards that still come to me. I am blessed. Things turned out all right. What a Southern man. That's one. Things turned out okay. Very great. Let's go eat pecan pie. Whatever. Like, he's awesome. He's a very good man. God bless Bo Jackson. Bo, Mr. Jackson. I'm a 36-year-old guy. I think I'd call most people just first name basis. I prefer just to be called Gracjan. None of this a doctor. I would refer to Jackson as Mr. Jackson. He deserves that respect. I'll call him Duke Jackson or whatever he wants to be called. Your Highness. The Earl of Bessemer, Alabama. Mr. Jackson, if you ever watch this video, God bless you, sir. Thank you for all you've done for art. Forget sports. He's an artist. He's transcends sports. What is the host piece story to finish? Hilarious. When I was playing baseball in college, we had a fall baseball game. And we go play these guys in scrimmage. And so everything's kind of like funny and hilarious. You're training hard and stuff, but it's not, it's not the level of kind of like, hey, let's stop the nonsense. The other team, got to give these guys eternal credit. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen on a baseball field. They had a lot of confidence in their catcher. And hose piece in baseball, say, oh, Barb, you have a hose piece. You have a fantastic arm. It's like just a freaking hose, right? Water pressure. Baseball is amazing with all the nook and cranny, weird lingo, whatever. So it's one thing, right? Parker, someone tries to steal on you, steal second base, you throw them out behind the plate, and then we all yell, hose piece, right? Well, that's okay. It's funny, but that's after the fact. Our guy tries to steal second. As the play is happening, the catcher's transitioning the ball to here to throw it to second base. The team yells as the play is ongoing. One other thing, hose piece, as the guy is catching it and throws, and our guy gets absolutely hosed. He's out by like 10 feet. And I was like, it's so beautiful. These guys had such confidence in their catcher. Anyone after the play's over can be like, oh, it's a hose piece. They're yelling this, like creating a soundtrack in the middle of the play, knowing that our catcher is so good. He's not going to airmail, throw, and miss it, whatever. He's going to get it done. It was just a beautiful art piece. What's the point of the story? Bo Jackson, I don't even know my stats. I want people to just yell hose piece. I pick up the ball and freaking launch it. And hose piece, incoming, boom, and the guy's out. So on that note, again, a sincere, most deep heartfelt thanks to Mr. Vincent Edward, quote, Bo Jackson, greatest athlete since 490 BC.